Hey guys, how you doing? Luna here with a new video. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm really excited because we have another ranked video. We're going to be ranking every single song on the Magical Mystery Tour album from worst to best, and I wasn't really planning on making this video so soon, mainly because last week we did the Rubber Soul songs ranking, and the week prior to that we did Let It Be, I believe. So I don't really want to be that repetitive, but you guys seem to enjoy these videos quite a lot. It sparks a lot of interaction in the comments section where you guys give me your own list or your opinion on my list, and I love that. That is the main reason why I started this channel. Plus, it seems like every time I upload a video that has nothing to do with a ranking or asking if someone is overrated or not, you guys don't like me, so I thought, why not make another ranking video. Plus, I'm especially excited for this one because I don't really get to talk about this album that often on my channel, mainly because of how underrated it is. I believe that people tend to overlook this album as a compilation record because the first half is a soundtrack for the band's film of the same name, released in 1967, one of the worst films I've ever watched, by the way. And then you have like a compilation on the second half of the album with all the psychedelic style singles that been released in 1967, or most of them, so that kind of creates a disconnect in the album. There's also the fact that it's placed really awkwardly in the band's discography. It's in between some of the greatest records of all time, Sgt. Pepper's and the White Album, so I can see how this was seen as a disappointment. But when it comes to the actual songs in the album, I believe it's on the same level of quality as any other release by the band in this psychedelic and experimental phase of their career. So that's the reason why I'm really excited to rank the songs in this album. Because I'm really excited, I want to make sure I set some rules on the table. Number one, this is going to be based on the 1976 UK release, so we are going to be having songs like All You Need Is Love, Strawberry Fields Forever, and Penny Lane included on this video. And also, because this is my own personal opinion, I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments section. I want to see your own list so I can give you my opinion on it, and we can have a small conversation in the comments section. We do have 11 songs to go through. It's quite a lot, so I don't want to make this video too long. Let's go on with the first song. I think it's fair to say that everyone was expecting for me to put the song at number 11. I mean, it's an instrumental. There's nothing really going on in this song, and actually, even as an instrumental, it's not really that interesting. At least not as interesting as some of the other compositions in this album, so I had to place it at number 11. But Flying is a beautiful piece of music. It's definitely a transitional moment in the album, and I believe that it showcases how different the instrumentations from the band were compared to those of the Beatlemania years, and also I believe this is the only track that's credited to all four Beatles as songwriters, so that's an interesting fact too. But apart from that, it's only an instrumental. It uses the harmonium, I believe it uses the organ too, and some backing vocals like a choir, but apart from that, there's not much to say about this song, number 11. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, you do have a bunch of amazing songs in this album, so that is the reason why, even though I'm putting the title track at number 10, I don't think it's a bad intro. I don't think it's an underwhelming introduction to the album. In my opinion, this is a really good opener, but the problem is that unlike the intro to Sgt. Pepper's, the performances are not really as vivid and as passionate. You don't really get that punch that a song like the title track from the Sgt. Pepper's album gives you. Plus, I believe that the fact that this song tries to introduce a narrative that's not really used anywhere else in the album is a bit of a waste. Another reason to put it at number 10, because at least, with the Sgt. Pepper track, you have With a Little Help of My Friends, which is a track that plays into the same narrative. You don't really have that in this album with this song, so that is the reason why it's at number 10. Still, it's a really enjoyable, fun, and playful tune that uses the psychedelic and playful side of the band really well to create an opening that feels like, the opening act to a circus, and that matches the energy of the album really well. At number 9, we have Baby You're a Rich Man, and the reason why I'm putting this song so low on the list, even though I really do enjoy this track, is because I feel like the pace of the song is kind of tanky. It seems like the percussion sounds kind of dull, it's really dry and empty, which is weird, because I think that one of the best things Ringo Starr had as a drummer was the fact that he was able to adapt to a lot of different styles of music and Instead, in this album, it seems like he didn't really know what to do with this song, or maybe that's what John Lennon intended with the song. I don't really know. But also, the vocals are kind of like awkwardly put together when you compare this harmonies to the one the band was doing in Rubber Soul, Sgt. Pepper's, or Revolver. It's clear that this isn't really the best vocal mixing the band has showcased. I do enjoy the falsetto vocals and John Lennon's overall performance, and you know, the melody of the song is really nice too, but we have some of the best songs of all time in this album, so I can't really put this song any higher than number 9. At number 8, we have Your Mother Should Know, one of my favorite tunes in the entire album, but I can't really put it any higher even though I would like to, because this is just typical granny music, as John Lennon liked to call it. Paul McCartney had this thing where he liked to add a musical piece to every single one of the albums by the band, starting from Rubber Soul, you know, with tracks like Michelle, and then in 1966 with Revolver. You could consider Good Day Sunshine to be something relatively similar. In Sgt. Pepper's, you have When I'm 64, and then in the White Album you have Honey Pie. In every single album by the Beatles, starting from their more experimental years, you have this sort of once again granny music that don't really match the energy of the album that well. I do believe that Your Mother Should Know has this playful energy the film Magical Mystery Tour had, so it fits pretty well with the concept of the soundtrack. But once you think of this album as an LP, as a studio album, which is what it is technically, I believe that it kind of loses its point. You know, it's a nice tune. Once again, it's probably one of the songs I've heard the most out of the album, but that doesn't really mean I can put it any higher. I can definitely see John Lennon walking into the studio hoping to see some new experimental stuff, and then Paul McCartney whips out this old-fashioned music hall style of music and being really annoyed by it. So yeah, number 8. At number 7, we have a song that's one of the most covered by the band. I believe this is one of the most beautiful pieces of music Paul McCartney ever made, at least, you know, out of the ones that had a more simplistic approach to instrumentation and melody, and that is The Fool on the Hill. I thought when I started to make the ranking, you know, this song was going to be way higher, mainly because I love it. I love the lyrical concept, the beauty of the story told in the lyrics, and I definitely enjoyed this high-pitched vocals by Paul McCartney that are so hard to reproduce. You know, I've seen a lot of covers of this song on the internet. It seems like no one can get it like Paul McCartney. You know, even if they use voice mods as well, even if they do their high-pitched voice thing, they can't perform this song like Paul McCartney. He had this ability to use the melody and tell the stories in a really convincing way. It feels like very autobiographical too, you know, considering the state of the band at that time, how Paul McCartney wanted to jump in all these different projects, how he wanted to continue with Magical Mystery Tour out of respect for Brian Epstein, who unfortunately passed away earlier that year. I feel like after that, McCartney felt this responsibility, this burden of leading the band in the right direction, and a lot of times it came out as egotistical. A lot of times he didn't allow his bandmates to come up with their own ideas to help the band, you know, and I feel like somehow that's what McCartney tries to say in this song. You know, this is my own theory, but that's the way I see it. It's a beautiful song. It's very simple, but it matches the energy of the album thanks to things like the flute or the percussion or Paul McCartney's high-pitched vocals. Every little detail added to the instrumentation make it a part of the psychedelic music scene, and that is the reason why it falls to number 7. At number 6, we have All You Need Is Love, and I have to say that I'm kind of shocked this song is so low on the list, mainly because when I was a kid, I remember I used to listen to this song all the time. I love this song. Singing along to this track is the reason why I learned English at a really young age. You know, I love singing along to the Beatles, and this is a very simple song to sing along to. It's not really that complicated to sing, so I remember singing this song quite often. But when comparing it to some of the other songs that are above it, you know, psychedelic pieces that kind of shaped the entirety of the music industry post 1967, I have to say that this song can't really go higher, but it holds a lot of significance, especially because I feel like this is one of the first times that John Lennon got so deep into politics. I know that this is technically not a song with any political ideologies being pushed through, but when you look at songs like Give Peace a Chance, Instant Karma, and all of the other songs John Lennon was doing in the early 70s, you know, that involved political issues. I feel like this is the most primal or subtle versions of those type of songs, you know, so that is the reason why I want to put it at number 6, even though I kind of agree that songs like The Fool on the Hill, Your Mother Should Know, and even Baby You're a Rich Man are a little more enjoyable. There's really not that much else to say about this song, even though it has some interesting elements like the marching band style of percussion or the horns and how well executed they are, but overall it's a very simple track with a very simple message, but in my opinion really important. So it falls to number 6, but it's an amazing song. At number 5, we have a song that John Lennon hated with passion, and that is Hello Goodbye, written by Paul McCartney. The reason why John Lennon didn't really like this song all that much is because it kind of knocked I Am the Walrus out of the A side, you know, it became a B side thanks to this song. It's obviously more commercially suited to have a better performance in the charts, and it did because it went number 1. It's a really enjoyable, playful, and joyful tune that showcases Paul McCartney's versatility. You know, in this album, you have Your Mother Should Know, Hello Goodbye, and The Fool on the Hill, 3 songs that are very different from one another, but seem to be performed on the same level of proficiency, which is one of the many reasons why I love Paul McCartney. The song is very repetitive, I will give you that, but you know, I believe that the colorful nature of the instrumentation make the song stay interesting throughout the whole listen. Plus, it's not really such a long song, so repetitiveness is not really a big deal when you're not just sitting there for 10 minutes listening to the same chord progression and the same lyrics over and over again. That's not really the case with this. You know, the track doesn't really overstay its welcome, you know, at least in my opinion. I like the dynamics of the lyrics, and you know, overall I just think it's a really enjoyable track. Number 5. At number 4, we have the only George Harrison song on this list, which is a shame because he was on point during the majority of 1967, and that is Blue Jay Way. I personally believe that this is the most underrated song George Harrison released with the Beatles. The fact that songs like Love You Too and Within You Without You are more popular than this one is beyond me, because for me, this is the perfect balance between the Indian classical music, the psychedelic experimentation, and George Harrison's usual incredible melodies. You know, I believe this is a happy medium where people find an immersive experience that also has a nice melody to it. It's both enjoyable and interesting at the same time, which is a really hard thing to kind of like balance. Don't get me wrong, there's a few things about the song that I don't really like all that much, especially the vocals in the chorus, because it sounds like he's singing through a fan. I know that that's, you know, that's what they wanted to do, but I just don't think it was a good decision. And also the production, the drums sound way too sharp. The bass line is almost non-existent, or at least I can't perceive it. But apart from that, I think this is an amazing song and one of the best tracks that George Harrison has to offer inside of the Beatles discography. Now with the Bronze Medal, I think the top 3 is very predictable, which I hate, but if I didn't put just 3 songs at the very top of the list, I was going to be lying to myself and in turn lying to you guys, because at number 3 we have I Am the Walrus. I have to say this is one of the most unique songs out of the entirety of the band's catalog. There's no other track where John Lennon performs like this, where his voice sounds like this. Not even in his solo discography, you know, everything sounds so aggressive, sharp, and tricky. It seems like it's a little goblin troll that's singing to you instead of John Lennon. I don't really understand what the lyrics are all about, but I feel like the abstract nature of the lyrics is kind of like the point, and it matches really well with the energy of the track itself. The string arrangements, the psychedelic effects added in the background, how they use the harmonium for this song too, is very, very well done. And it feels like the song is simpler than what it actually is. It's when you start digging into it, into the little details of the instrumental, and you start peeling the layers off, that you find the greatness of the structure of the song, you know. I wanted to put this song at number 1 mainly because I feel like it represents the album really well. And when I do this type of rankings, I don't rank the song based only on the quality of the song itself, but also the role it plays in the album. And I feel like this song would be like the leading track of the record, showing everyone how the album is supposed to sound like, or it's going to sound like. But the songs we have above this one are some of the greatest songs of all time, so I can't really put it any higher. But I Am the Walrus is an amazing piece of psychedelic music, one of the most influential songs by the band, and just an excellent representation of John Lennon's ability to create unique pieces of music. Bronze Medal, number 3. At number 2, we have one of my favorite songs by the band, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful too, and that is Penny Lane by Paul McCartney. I know that the recording techniques used for this song, the instrumentals and the vocal performances are not really that special or unique. In this album, Paul McCartney was playing around with a lot of different concepts. So it's kind of crazy that the most simple and predictable song out of the whole album is the one that makes it all the way up to number 2. But honestly, the elegance, sophistication, and beauty of this song is unmatched. I love every time this song plays because, again, its simplicity, it's kind of like the catch. You know, you don't really have to think too deep about the track, what it's talking about. It's really simple little stories about living in Liverpool, and that is the main reason why it finds itself in number 2. It's simply too enjoyable, too pretty, and too cute to be anywhere else on the list. The fact that Paul McCartney stated multiple times this is one of his favorite songs also plays into my praise for the song, you know, and I believe that, you know, even though John Lennon didn't really like this music whole type of thing that Paul was doing in the mid-60s all the way up to, you know, the 70s within albums like Let It Be and Abbey Road, I feel like sometimes when you're listening to so much experimentation, you're listening to so many different layers of complexity that go from psychedelia to Indian classical music to avant-garde to distortion, you kind of need this sort of like safe place for you to just enjoy the music without thinking too much about it, and that is exactly what Penny Lane offers. But I can't really put it at number 1 because at number 1 you'll find one of the greatest songs of all time, one of the most influential pieces of music ever made, and in my opinion, John Lennon's best song hands down, and that is Strawberry Fields Forever. Looped guitar, harmoniums, flutes, chord progression, different tempos, so many things that can be said about the structure of the song, and the reason why is held as one of the greatest pieces of music ever made. It's actually kind of intimidating to talk about this song because even though I've never claimed to be a professional music reviewer, I do believe you need some sort of expertise to kind of like dig deep into what makes a song so great. But if I had to give like the main reason why I feel like this song is so important to me and to many other fans that see this song as the peak of John Lennon's songwriting ability, I'd have to say that it's just because of how unique the song is. You know, you won't find another song like Strawberry Fields Forever no matter where you look in the music industry. You know, you can listen to 1,000 other psychedelic albums that's going to have dozens of thousands of songs in it, but you won't find another track that's even remotely similar to Strawberry Fields Forever. It has a sort of thing that makes it a very versatile song. You can listen to it just for the sake of listening to music, or you can read into some of the most complex music patterns, chord progressions, and elements added to the instrumentation. Previous to this one, you already had mind-bending songs that changed the way people perceived music in Tomorrow Never Knows, maybe A Day in the Life, and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, but nothing felt as unique and as forward-thinking as Strawberry Fields Forever, not only in John Lennon's solo career and his work with the Beatles, but out of any song in the 60s, I believe that Strawberry Fields Forever was the most unique piece of music to ever chart. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm open to, you know, listening to your own opinion, but for me, this song is the example of why the 60s were such a special time for music. You know, this sort of innovation was rewarded not only by the critics, but also by the fans and in terms of sales, you know. So it seemed like innovating and being unique was profitable back then, unlike now that it seems like the more you apply a formula to your song, the more success you're going to enjoy. So even though I know that this song wasn't originally supposed to be included on the album, it was supposed to be on Sgt. Pepper's, it doesn't change the fact that it's one of the most amazing pieces of music ever made and the number 1 on my list. However, that is only my personal opinion. I'm pretty sure you guys have your own, so feel free to leave it down below in the comments. I truly hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I sure as hell enjoyed doing this ranking because, again, I don't really get the opportunity to talk about this album that often, so every chance I get, I want to praise the hell out of this album and make sure people understand that, you know, yes, it's not the most prolific release by the band, but it's definitely a great record. So if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any other videos that I upload. If you want me to talk about any other topics related to music, if you want me to check out a song, album, or artist, go ahead and leave it down below and I'll make sure to fulfill your request as soon as I can. Once again, I hope that you guys enjoyed and I hope that I can see you soon with a new video. But until then, bye.